Hey guys, welcome everyone to Inspirations for Your Life. I'm so glad you decided to join me here today. It is, yes, Tuesday, April 15, 2025. By the way, it's tax day. If you guys don't know, you need to get your taxes filed before midnight tonight, actually, post stamped and in the mail. So if you have waited to the last moment, well, you have a few hours left to get them in. But actually, I got mine done last month, and it's really great to get things done early. You don't have to get your personals done, but my corporates had to be done early. So just made sense to do everything earlier. All right, guys, we have an amazing master topic, which is what you say, what you do, who you are. And tonight's granular is listen like a leader. Yes. So again, tonight's granular topic is listen like a leader, hear what's not being said. Hear what's not being said. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Yes. Um, Maybe you've thought about that before, and we're going to dig into a lot of that tonight with the show because I think this is really important. And I do invite you guys to stop by after the show, believemeachieve.com. That is believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Well, welcome everyone. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, your host, and also a podcast coach. And I invite you to pop by the kitchen and get something delicious or yummy. Maybe that's something hot, something cold, something sweet, something tart, something healthy or not. It's totally up to you. All right, guys. So we're diving very deep into a topic that separates good leaders from exceptional ones, listening. But not just any kind of listening. We're talking about hearing what's not being said, what's being said between the words. Words matter, yes, but so do silences, pauses, body language, tonal shifts, and those little nonverbal cues that speak volumes. If you're ready to become more intuitive, emotionally intelligent, and would like to make people feel truly seen and heard, then you're in the right place. Let's unlock this together and explore your leadership potential, one silent cue at a time. All right, guys. So, welcome everyone once again. Number one, importance of nonverbal communication. Yes, the importance of nonverbal communication. Words might form sentences, but nonverbal communication tells the story behind them. Body language, facial expressions, posture, and even the way someone breathes during a conversation can reveal more than what's verbally spoken or said. Great leaders pay attention to these cues. A slumped posture or crossed arms may indicate discomfort, while genuine eye contact and open gestures reflect engagement. Learning to interpret these subtle messages allows leaders to respond with deeper empathy and clearer intentions, making all the difference in employee morale, friends, relationships, and building trust everywhere. Number two, reading between the lines. You see, leadership requires the ability to decode what's said and what's left unsaid. People often withhold their true feelings out of fear, insecurity, or concern about repercussions. That's why reading between the lines is a critical skill. You might hear agreements or disagreements, but notice hesitation in the tone, or a yes, or I'm good with that, or paired with a half smile and averted gaze. These are indicators that something's amiss. As a leader, when you address these underlying tensions, you don't just solve problems, you build culture of honesty and psychological safety. Number three, noticing emotional cues and shifts. Emotions are dynamics, not static. A leader who listens closely can detect when someone's emotional state changes, even subtly. You might see someone going from enthusiastic to withdrawn within a few minutes of the conversation. These shifts could signal discomfort, stress, or disagreement. Recognizing them in real time allows you to check in with compassion, redirect a meeting's tone, or offer support before a situation escalates. This skill can be a game changer for managing team dynamics and individuals' well being. Number four, creating space for unspoken concerns. Silence can be uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly powerful. Leaders who have space in conversations create an open door for others to share what they might be hesitant to express. Sometimes all it takes is a pause, a gentle nod, or a warm expression that says, I'm here and I'm listening. By allowing silence to exist without rushing to fill it, you communicate that there is room for honesty. People will often bring up issues they've been sitting on, concerns that, if left unspoken, could grow into a much larger set of problems. Number five, building trust through presence. Presence is one of the most underrated leadership tools. When you give someone your undivided attention, you show them that they actually matter. And no phones, no multitasking, no glancing at the clock, just being there in today's distracted world. This kind of presence builds trust faster than anything else you could ever imagine. It signals that, hey, you're invested not just in the outcome of the conversation, but in the person themselves. People are more likely to confide in and follow leaders who make them feel seen, heard, and of course, valued and respected. Number six, responding to what's felt, not just what's said. True listening means responding to the energy behind the words. Maybe someone says, I'm doing fine, but their tone is flat and they're avoiding eye contact. Instead of taking the words at face value, a strong leader might gently respond, such as, You don't seem like usual self today. Want to talk about it? This shows emotional intelligence and creates room for vulnerability. When leaders validate feelings and respond with care, they foster trust and deepen loyalty across their team. Number seven, practicing mindful silence. We often underestimate the power of silence in leadership. Mindful silence is a tool of patience, respect, and reflection. When we allow moments of quietness, we give people the time and space to process their thoughts and emotions. It prevents knee jerk reactions and encourages thoughtful responses. Mindful silence can disarm defensiveness and invite openness. Leaders who embrace this practice communicate calmly, with confidence, and control their traits that people naturally would gravitate toward and, of course, admire. Number eight, encouraging openness through observation. Being observant is a form of caring. Leaders who actively watch for behavioral patterns, like who withdraws in a group discussion, who lights up during certain tasks, or who arrives early but stays quiet, can tailor their approach to encourage openness. Observation isn't passive, it's active listening with the eyes. Once you notice patterns, you can gently invite dialogue, praise subtle contributions, or ask the right questions to draw people out. Over time, this builds a culture of trust and, of course, authenticity. Validating hidden messages is number nine. Sometimes people hint at a problem. Instead of stating them outright, maybe they joke about feeling burned out or casually mention that they're always the last one in the office. These are hidden messages, coded cries for attention or support. Great leaders don't let them slip by. They validate them by responding with empathy. That sounds exhausting. Are you feeling overwhelmed lately? This type of leadership shows emotional awareness and tells others that you care enough to look beyond surface level dialogue. Number 10, strengthening leadership with emotional intelligence. At the core of every one of these strategies is emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions while turning into feelings of others. Leaders who listen like this don't just manage, they inspire. They lead with compassion, make better decisions, and build stronger, more connected teams. Emotional intelligence isn't just a leadership skill, it's a life skill. And the more you strengthen it, the more powerful your presence becomes and the impact you'll make around others. So, before I share my personal stories, like I always do, I want to share something really important, and that is called the seven. You guys probably know about it. The 738 55 rule. All right, what does that mean? Well, Mr. Harabian came up with this communication model a while back, and I don't know if you know this, but only 7% of the words you use affects that communication. 38% is in how you say something. And the remaining 55 is in what you don't say, your body language, etc. And I think when we realize, ladies and gentlemen, that our communication is more than just a quick in, a quick out, it's a lot, right? But we have to make sure that we are communicating effectively and with integrity. That's not an easy thing to do, guys. But the more you do it, the more you will get better at it. Okay. The more you do it, the more you'll get better at it. And maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you're saying to yourself, you know what, John, this sounds interesting, but like I can't deal with all this. Well, you see, when you come from integrity, your body is naturally going to fill in those blanks in the right way. But it's important to understand why somebody's communicating that way. Okay? That's important to understand, guys. That's really, really important. So, thinking about this rule, right? The 755, basically the 738-55 rule. It's important. I don't know if you guys pay attention to what you don't say, but that's an important thing that I think everyone in our world needs to learn. If they don't learn it, you know what happens? They're going to be light years behind everyone else. That's pretty terrible. And you might be saying to me, John, I don't pay attention. Well, even if you don't think you consciously pay attention to it, I'm going to be honest with you. Your subconscious is tuning into it. Other people's subconscious is tuning into what you don't say. And you might say, well, John, that's nuts. Don't believe me? Try it. Change some things and see how communication really changes between you, and the dynamics can really be changed, and hopefully in a positive way. So I want to dive into some personal stories that I think will hopefully set the stage for you in a completely different way, but one that I hope will make you appreciate where we're going. All right. The importance of nonverbal communication. A few years ago, I was mentoring a young entrepreneur at a networking event. As he shared his progress, he kept saying things were going well, but his arms were tightly crossed, shoulders were hunched, and his eyes darted to the exit every few seconds. I didn't press immediately, but I gently asked, is everything okay? Or is there something that's weighing on you? His whole demeanor shifted. He opened up about a major deal that had fallen through and how he felt like a failure. That moment taught me that words lie, but the body usually doesn't. Once I acknowledged what his body language was screaming, he finally felt safe enough to share. That's when real coaching starts and real healing can begin. Number 2, reading between the lines. During a team meeting, one of my most reliable staff members said he was fine, but with the new workflow we had implemented, but something felt off. His tone was unusually flat. He avoided direct eye contact with everyone. I couldn't have taken his word at face value, but I didn't because I knew something was wrong. Later, I pulled him aside privately and said, you seem a little off today in the meeting. Did anything about the new process rub you the wrong way? That's when he admitted he felt sidelined in the decision-making process. By listening beyond the words, I was able to address his concerns and bring back into the conversation him as a valuable collaborator. That one conversation prevented months of more quiet resentment. Number 3, noticing emotional cues and shifts. I once had an intern who started the day bright-eyed and eager, but halfway through a project discussion, his energy noticeably just tanked. He stopped chiming in, his hands were in his lap, and he went quiet. I paused the conversation and asked, Mark, is everything okay? At first, he shrugged it off, but after a moment, he confided that the project reminded him of a past failure, and he was starting to doubt himself. If I hadn't noticed that emotional shift and check in, I would have lost a teachable moment and maybe even his trust. Just being aware and acting on that shift made all the difference. Number four, creating space for unspoken concerns. One evening after a workshop I had given, I stayed back to help clean up. One attendee lingered, clearly wanting to say something but hesitating. I just nodded, smiled, and didn't fill the silence. Eventually, he said, "Can I be honest with you?" I always like to say, no lie to me, but I didn't say that. He opened up about how overwhelmed he felt with his business and how my talk had made him realize he needed help, but he didn't want to say it in front of everyone. That pause, that brief moment of silence was an invitation. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs happen not because we speak, but because we stay quiet long enough to let others be heard. Number five, building trust through presence. I'll never forget a time when I met a client who was clearly going through something personal. Instead of launching into our tech strategy, I put my phone away, closed my notebook, and said, "Talk to me. What's really on your mind?" We didn't touch business for over 50 minutes. I just listened. No multitasking, no checking the clock, just full presence. Later, he told me that the conversation gave him the mental clarity to keep pushing forward. That 1 hour of presence almost cemented a professional relationship that's lasted over a decade or more. People don't always remember what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel. Number six, responding to what's felt, not just what's said. I once had an employee who, every time I asked how he was doing, he replied, "Oh, all good, just doing fine." But his smile never reached his eyes. One day I said, "You don't have to pretend with me. You seem like you've got something on your mind." He paused and broke down. He'd been dealing with a sick parent and didn't want to bring personal stuff into work. That moment of empathy turned into a deeper conversation about boundaries, support, and flexibility. Sometimes people just need permission to not be okay. And someone brave enough to ask the question they're too afraid to answer on their own. Number seven, practicing mindful silence. Years ago, I had a heated disagreement with someone on a business venture they were taking. In the past, I might have jumped to defend my point, but this time I paused. I let the silence linger. It felt awkward, but I stayed with it. And in the stillness, he softened. He said, what, maybe I overreacted. That silence gave him space to reflect and gave me space to lead without an ego. Silence isn't absence, it's presence with power. It's a tool, and when used mindfully, it becomes a mirror for our own truth. Number eight, encouraging openness through observation. During a community event, I noticed one attendee who was always early and super polite, but rarely spoke during group discussions. I made a point to observe when he lit up. Turns out he loved logistics and had a background in event planning. I casually asked him one day if he had the time and would like to help with organizing our next event. His eyes just lit up. The small gesture cracked him open. He became one of our most engaged volunteers. Observing his behavior helped me unlock potential that would have gone unnoticed. Sometimes leadership means seeing people before they see themselves, or actually seeing the miracle or the potential they have before they cannot realize it themselves first, right? Validate hidden messages. I once worked with someone who kept joking about how much overtime they were pulling, always with a laugh, but with bags under their eyes. One day I said, "Hey, I know you joke, but I also know burnout isn't funny. Are you getting enough rest?" The mask slipped. They admitted they were exhausted and didn't want to seem weak. That one moment of validation gave them permission to take time off, reassess priorities, and come back stronger. The truth is, jokes and side comments often carry pain. As leaders, we can't afford to laugh with the mask. We've got to see behind it. Number 10, strengthening leadership with emotional intelligence. Years ago, I believed leadership was about results, data, deadlines, deliverables, and only profits. But I hit a wall. I was great at solving problems, but terrible at hearing people at this time. One day, a colleague told me, "You're sweet, but you don't listen." That hit home very hard, and it woke me up. I began studying emotional intelligence, listening more, observing body language, checking in authentically. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Everything changed. It was like this big shift. Team cohesion just improved very quickly. People opened up more, and the stress levels just dropped. Emotional intelligence didn't just make me a better leader, it made me a better human. And if there's one skill I teach every aspiring leader, it's this: start listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart. You see, many of us in life, we all hear things. We hear the music, we hear the lecture, but you know what we really don't hear? We don't hear the meaning of the message. And that sounds like something that's so crazy, but it's so truthful. It's so very truthful. Do you listen to people, or do you just kind of yes them to death? And it's okay if you do that. I just want you to know that you've got to basically be authentic, and you've got to remember that you've got to listen. Listening is not about when I can interject with my question. It's not about that. It's not about how much floor time you get. Listening is about connecting with the person and their thoughts. And only after their thoughts are said for you to respond. That's powerful. And maybe that could seem a little bit blunt and to the point, but sometimes we need blunt. Sometimes we need to the point. Because if we don't wake up from a lesson, then we may never, ever, and we'll miss so many wonderful blessings and opportunities. In today's world, leadership isn't just about giving great speeches or making bold decisions. It's about listening with intention, presence, and empathy. Nonverbal cues we learned today, subtle shifts in tone, and even pauses speak volumes about how someone is truly feeling. Leaders who generally want to take the time to observe these silent messages unlock deeper understanding and build stronger relationships, and of course, cement better trust. When we tune into beyond the words, we discover the real stories people are trying to tell us, whether through body language, facial expressions, or moments of hesitation. It's this level of awareness that transforms a good conversation into a meaningful one. There could be something that, just you want to get out, but you don't know how to say it. From reading between the lines to validating what's unspoken, truly impactful leaders recognize that silence can be just as revealing as speech. People often mask how really they feel to avoid conflict or judgment, but their energy and expressions betray the truth. By creating what I'd like to say is a safe space for those concerns to emerge, whether through a comforting pause or a question that digs just a little bit deeper, we start to build a culmination where the culture and honesty isn't feared anymore. It's welcomed, and people see the whole concept of inclusivity. That's no discrimination for race, religion, sexual orientation, creed, color, political party, and the list goes on and on. Emotional cues and behavioral patterns offer the map. It's up to us to follow the route with curiosity and care. We don't want to be an interrogator, right? We want to observe and engage thoughtfully. That's powerful stuff, guys. It's so powerful that I bet if you were here listening to me, you might be speechless at the moment. Why? Because I'm hitting a chord. I know I am. A chord that maybe you didn't want me to go down. Exceptional leadership begins with the ability to notice what others overlook. The pause before a response, the subtle tension in a smile, or the shift in someone's energy during a meeting. These moments often are dismissed as small, okay? But they carry powerful insights. Leaders who train themselves to recognize these cues demonstrate emotional intelligence in action by observing patterns, making space for unspoken thoughts, and responding with empathy rather than assumption. We start to foster trust, openness, and genuine connections with our teams and the people around us. True listening goes beyond hearing. It involves presence, patience, and emotional attunement. Whether it's giving someone your full attention, picking up on quiet signs of burnout, or allowing silence to invite honesty. These actions define how safe and valued people feel. When leaders lead with awareness and respond to, let's say, what's truly being communicated, spoken or not, they create environments where people don't just follow orders, they engage, contribute, and thrive. Not because they have to, but because they want to. And just summarizing here, we learned about Morabian's 738-55 rule, which a lot of people don't know about. And that is that the spoken word only has 7% of the meaning. Out of how we say it, that comes down to 38%, the voice and the tonality. And the most important of all is what's often overlooked. 55% is the nonverbal. Now, a lot of times our bodies will react because our bodies are very smart. But when we're trying to pick up on a social cue, we could miss that whole concept. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Please do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creations. I'll catch you guys real soon. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your evening.